Helps if I unmute the microphone. Okay, so what we're going to do here, folks, Michael J. here with you. We're going to review the new Pan-Asian cruiser lines. We've got Flamu, who's going to do the presentation, the Pan-Asian cruisers, the Delny, and the Prusen. So any questions, just throw in chat and enjoy.
Well, let's start with Pan-Asian, then we'll go through Delny and Preußen, the German super cruiser as well. Okay, so it starts at tier 5. Chongqing, tier 5 cruiser. Entered service 1937. A light cruiser built in Britain, designed for combat operations within squadrons and for hunting down enemy destroyers. In 1948, she was transferred to the Republic of China Navy. We're gonna just put Brandenburg in the shop. Yeah, I've heard Brandenburg isn't really that good. It suffers some really poor firing angles, apparently. So, yeah, I don't see a whole lot of reason to get that, especially with the new German battle cruisers coming out. Anyway, let's go to equipment. Oh, incredible. What's the range? 12 km. It is tier 5, to be fair. Oh, this is the gimmick. You already get the gimmick at this tier. Deep water torpedoes, 9.5 km range, 15, almost 16k torpedo, 16k damage torpedo, 61 knots, 9.5 km. Yeah, these are going to be very, very stealthy, and they can't hit DDs, but they can hit everything else. And it gets access to smoke. Very good smoke. Very good smoke. 30-second action time, 70-second dispersion time, and 100-second cooldown, and you get 3 of them. This is a really good. We can actually remove chat background because we're not going to need to tab out, so we can get rid of it, so you can see better. There's not going to be much of a need to tab out this time, so might as well remove it. Yeah, so the smoke is great. Deepwater torps hit like a truck for tier 5. You gotta remember, this is tier 5. Cruisers don't have a whole lot of health here. Like, this guy has 23k, and these torps hit for 60. Let's see how many it actually has.
Yeah, these torps could be a game changer.
Man, looking at this and the new PTS port with the improved water, things actually look so good. How many torps? Here it is. 3 torpedoes. 3 torps per side. Interesting. Almost looks like tier 5 lander. Not quite, maybe. Chunking. Name doesn't match the shape. No, it isn't very chunky, is it? What kind of armor? Oof, okay. Very, very matchable. How large is the Citadel? Standard low tier ship then. A pretty chunky Citadel. It's very far in the back though. This is very trolly, because a lot of shells will hit here. And nose-in shells have to travel a long time to reach the Citadel, so it might be somewhat trolly that it only starts here, instead of not starting here like Citadels normally do. Arethusa class. Interesting. That's the tier 5, huh? What's the caliber on the guns? 152, 7.5 second reload, HE and AP. So you're gonna have a cruiser that can smoke up an HE spam and drop deepwater torps at tier 5. Yikes. That's gonna be pretty nasty. Pretty fast as well, down. At tier 5, that's not bad. 32.3 without flag. Next up, Rahmat. A Dido class light cruiser built in Great Britain, entered service 1940. A small ship armed with dual-purpose artillery designed to protect the squadron or convoy from attacks or destroyers and aircraft. Wow, then it should have really good AA if it was designed to protect the convoy against planes. Right, chat? So here you get diff charges, which you didn't have at tier 5. Now, bombs in the charge 5, number of charges 2, and 1.7. So it looks like pretty good diff charges. Torps again, 61 knots, 9.5, still hitting very hard. Maybe we can actually move chat a bit downwards. Maybe. This should be fine. Defensive, yeah, it's pretty standard. The good smoke again. The really good smoke again. 12.5 chem range. Wow, that is really poor though. Because this is tier 6. You kind of get up tier into tier 8. And you can get to fight tier 8 on tier 8 maps. And you're stuck with 12.5 km range. Yikes. That's not going to be fun. Remember that cruisers can't increase firing range the same way DDs can. 23.6k health. Same speed. 133. With 133, 113. What the hell? Wait, how does this work? Why is there two different types of guns in the lineup? Or is that the turret? Or is that different guns on different hulls? Very, very strange. Very strange. It looks to be a nose in. All guns can shoot, which is kind of scary. That's a lot of guns on the nose. How many torps? 3 per side still. 2 turrets in the max, so 5 turrets, yeah. These are the 100 and... Looks like 130mm guns. Wait, so it's 130mm guns and 133mm turrets. I'm not exactly sure how this works. Interesting. Torps are pretty far back. Yeah, somewhat far back, I guess. Okay, let's see what the armor looks like. There's complete paper still. Absolute paper across the board. The Citadel is very far back in the ship again. But complete paper. 89mm plating. I feel like this ship is thick enough and the 89mm plating is strong enough armor that this thing will get Citadel. I would actually, at this tier, I would prefer to have like 40mm Citadel plating or something. Or no, maybe 60mm or something. That would be best, so less chance of pinning and stuff, but I feel like this is gonna arm everything. And it's so thick that this thing will get Citadel. Very far back against, again, the Citadel, but overmatchable roof on the Citadel. Thin armor, overmatchable nose, overmatchable stern. Very much a paper ship. You don't want to be in the open in this thing. You do not want to get caught in the open in this thing. $90mm armor is too much for opens. Yeah, it's gonna arm everything. It's gonna arm everything. It's just too much armor. It sounds weird, but that's the way it works in World of Warships. You don't want too much armor. Champon. Champon? Tier 7. Entered service 1941. A light American-built Atlanta-class cruiser designed for use in joint operations with destroyers. Compared with the initial project, she had enhanced short-range AA armament at the cost of a reduced number of main battery turrets. Interesting. $127s, standard flint guns, 6.3 second reload, 26.4k health, 12.7 range, 9.5k torps though, 16.6k damage, 59 knots, 32.5 knots. These torps are very scary. And this gets access to smoke gen and defensive AA. No Hydra though. But it does have this Nasty torpedoes. 9.5 km range as well is quite nasty. Where are the torpedoes? Look at here. 4 torps. 4 torps for 16.6k. Kind of scary. I think these torps are kind of the angles. I don't think these will launch very far forward. I think the fit. Look, you see, this thing is gonna. If you try to turn this out, they're backwards launching torpedoes. You see this? They're clearly intended to launch this way. I don't think the forward firing angle is going to be very good because this fence here is going to block the angle. I'm thinking this firing angle is going to be complete junk. It's the same as Flint and Atlanta? Really? How good are those? I don't remember. It's been such a long time since I actually used the torpedoes in Atlanta. It's pretty trash. Yeah, well, that's what it looks like. It's going to be pretty trash. 89mm plating. Okay, thin, complete paper across the board. Turrets 32, so everything will break on the ship. Oof, that's it. Wow, look at that shape on that citadel. Whoop. Like, can I please catch some nosing citadels? I beg of you. I'm presenting the biggest target I can. It's a ramp, yep. I don't remember the Atlanta citadel looking like this. Does it look like this? Maybe it does, and I just don't remember. Let me check. Pretty sure I have it on this account. It does? What a unique citadel. Okay, hold on. Oh yeah, it does. It does. So is it just straight up copy pasta? Is it a copy? Everything looks very identical. It's just a straight up copy pasta. It's Flint, not Atlanta. Yeah. Atlanta has the side turrets, yeah. Flint does not, so it's very much a Flint copy then. Yeah, interesting. So far, the only really new looking, well, we'll see. Harbin. Year of design, 1941. A small cruiser with dual-purpose artillery, the project of which was developed in the USSR at the turn of the 1930s, Mk6. The ship was primarily designed to counter enemy destroyers. Interesting. What guns do we have? 5.3 second 130mm guns. Okay. 26.5k health. A tier 8, that starts to be really goddamn squishy. That is really squishy. 26.5. Holy moly, that's squishy. With no heal either. 10 km torpedoes, dealing almost 18k a pop. 62 knot range. 13 km range. That is not fun, because at tier 8 you start running into a lot of 12 km radars. Shit, you even start running into 10 km radars, which both are not exactly fun in this thing. 33.4, it's quite fast. Defensive AA once again. Standard damage con. The smoke is still excellent. And now we have access to torpedo reload booster. One of the gimmicks of this line. So you can drop a lot of deep water torps on the target. Ideally. Ideally. What was the reload? It's 5.3. Harbin. Those turrets look somehow... It looks weird. Something about this looks odd. Not sure why, but something about this just looks really odd. So that's where all the Petro freeboard went. Interesting. It's pronounced as Harbin? Harbin? Whoa. So you have 6 torps per side. And torpedo reload booster. That's a lot of potential torpedoes. You can drop 12 per side. Ideally. Interesting. That's pretty weird. Two in the back, 3 in the front. 10 turrets total. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of armor. Oh my god, tell me, is this all Citadel? And it's 100 millimeters. This thing already has better armor than the Smolensk, and that's not a good thing. Holy shit. Holy shit, didn't this thing have 26.5k health? Jesus, that's a lot of Citadel. Change the hull? I wish I could. I don't think I can. I don't think I can. That's just the one it is. That's gonna catch a lot of Citadels, man. 100 across. It's 100 millimeter armored coffin in the center, just asking to be Citadel. Like even look at even angling away how much Citadelable area. Jesus. I feel like this thing is gonna get smashed so hard if it gets spotted. Good lord. It's got so much to shoot as well. The free XP ship? Yeah, let's hope there's not too many in the line. Sejong. Year of design, 1944. A variant of the light cruiser project developed in the United States during World War II, armed with 127mm dual-purpose guns of a new generation. Okay. So these are all just copy-pastas from USA or Britain. 127 still. 5.3 second reload. Really fast turret first. Still less than 30k health. Jesus. 12 km torpedoes that hit for 18k and do 67 knots. These torps are getting real scary. These are getting real scary because these are deep waters as well. You're not going to see them unless you like hydro is must have. The J is pronounced as a Y. Sejong? Sejong? I have no idea how to pronounce that. 13 Tier 9 cruiser with 13.3 km range. Holy shit. That is Jesus. Hello?
Like, what were they thinking? Tier 9, range 13 kilometers? Main battery guns? Come on, guys.
Are these ships just DDs with Citadels? That's kind of what it feels like. 33 knots. 9% fire chance, 21mm armor pen. Yeah, that's not a whole lot of pen either. Good fire starting chance though. I guess you don't want to build you can't even build IFHE, you don't want to, you just want to burn things. The deep waters. Defensive, torpedo reload, standard heal, and the smoke. Holy shit, those are some box silicon turrets. And I think you can't use the front turret too close either, it's gonna be blocked. Shit, you might even be blocked on the second turret if you're too close. Interesting. Whoa, that's a lot of torpedoes. 8 torpedoes per side, 12 km, 18k pop deep water torps, and torpedo reload booster. Jesus. This is literally a torpedo ship. Are you kidding me? You drop 8, you drop 8, you pop reload booster, you drop another 8, you drop another 8. Jesus. 32 deep water torpedoes that do 18k pop on the way towards the enemy. That sounds all sorts of filthy. You know, the thing is though, these things are such sailing citadels. Mr. One Penguin, thank you for the 6 months. These angles look better as well, yeah. But I'm thinking that, considering how many potatoes give broadside to use torpedoes, in these things, these literal coffins, the sailing citadels, so many people are going to suicide just to use these torpedoes. Like, they're going to throw away... The win rate on the ship is going to be like 20%. So 6 turrets on both. 6 turrets total. 12 guns. Interesting. Oh. Whoa, 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 whoa. This Austin-esque armor gives it so much utility. Because now you can rush nose in like this. Or not nose in, you don't want to go perfectly nose in, you want to go like this and bait shots here. And then you will auto bounce. And you got hard hitting nasty torpedoes to YOLO with. Better armor than South. Don't you start, man. I'm 32 here. So this is of course dangerous because this is if you hit the nose. If you hit the nose, it's basically gonna smash through guaranteed. But if you can bait the shot, that's pretty damn nice. Deck armor is 16, or matchable of course. Interesting. If you get broadside in this thing though, you just evaporate. That's basically it. If you get broadside in this thing, you just evaporate. You have no health pool and the citadel is huge. If you go too well nose in, you get smashed as well. I think this is going to be one of those ships that, in the hands of a good player, you might cause all sorts of havoc. But even then, I feel the range is very limiting. The range is so limiting. Like, what the hell do you do against something like a Petro in this thing? I'm not really sure. One volley could dev strike you with a Petro against this thing. So, interesting. You 100% need range mod? That's what I'm thinking as well. The range just sounds so anemic. So much armament crammed onto these small ships. Like, holy shit. It's literally bristling with armament. Interesting. So now we have a drum roll. I bet Petro would overpen Citadel. No, Petro has... Doesn't Petro have the improved fuse timer as well? Yeah, Petro has improved fuse timer, so no. Petro is like the best. It's the best. It has short fuse for... No one knows how it works, but it has short fuse. Anyway, Gina. Well, how... There was some way to pronounce this. Was it like a... Gina? Gina? I can't remember. Year of design, 1944. A variant of the light cruiser developed in the United States at the end of World War II, CL-154, with reinforced torpedo armament. Wait, reinforced? Compared to Sejong? .8 second reload. Okay, that's starting to be a lot of ducka. 30.7k health, so absolutely no health whatsoever still. 13.5 km range torpedoes, 18k damage, well 17.9, and 69 knots. Jesus. These are starting to get real scary. 13.5. Okay, the range is still dreadful. 35 knots of speed though, base. That's nice. That's nice. 9% fire chance. Yeah, they... Whoa, the depth charges are kind of absurd. Bombs in a charge, 12. This thing drops 1 billion bombs. Jesus. Interesting. Interesting. You're gonna have so much fun pressing G with this thing. Oh my god, you're gonna have the best time of your life pressing G. The spreadsheets will write tales of your bravery when you play this thing. Same torpedo reload, standard heal. Interesting. So is this just an Austin? It's just straight up. The turrets look... The hull is the same. The turrets are the same. Is this just straight up an Austin? Holy shit though. 10 torps per side. With torpedo reload booster. So you drop 20 torps. And then you reload booster and you drop another 20 torps. Jesus. That is all sorts of filthy. That's a lot of torpedoes. Are you kidding me? Holy shit. That's a lot of torpedoes. And 13.5 km range on them as well. And these ships are very, very stealthy. So you try to push into this thing and you literally have the kind of wall of torpedoes you could only have nightmares of coming your way. And it's going to be such a spaced out set as well. You got to understand, you drop 10 torps. You turn your ship, you drop another 10 torps. You pop reload booster, you drop another 10 torps. You turn the other way, you drop another 10 torps. Anyone trying to push in, they got like torps, 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 torps. It's going to be an absolute shit show pushing into that. Torps party. So I assume the armor is going to be... Yeah, it's literally the same armor. Identical armor. So they both have Austin hull. Interesting. Man, this is gonna be... Wargaming really hates the idea of pushing. I love that they introduced these brawling German cruisers, or battle cruisers, sorry. Like, push in, hey, go brawl, yeah. I'll give you 76k health and no torpedo belt, and then we're gonna add submarines and deep water torpedo Pan-Asian cruisers. Like, I'm sorry, what? Wait, what was the last part? Pushing into this is gonna suck. Because it's 35 knots as well, so it's very fast. So closing the distance is gonna be difficult. So it's just gonna keep kiting and dropping torps. Interesting. I mean, this is the kind of ship that you would easily put the 15% torpedo damage perk on. I could easily see myself speccing the perk on this thing. Get yourself some juicy 20k torpedoes, 20k plus torps. I mean, you gotta remember, cruisers actually have options for building for torps. You got the 5% torpedo speed, which is probably, considering you have 69 knot torps, this is worth it. The faster reload might also be good on it, and of course the damage. Like, you can go full torpedo build on cruisers. So that might absolutely be an option. They don't get speed. That's... Wait, you get speed as a 2-pointer here, and the flooding, but no damage. Yeah, that's gonna be nasty. That's gonna be nasty, nasty, nasty. Okay, what else do we have? A Dahlia. Year of design 1952. A variant of a small cruiser project developed in the USSR with dual-purpose artillery Mk6. She had reinforced anti-aircraft and anti-submarine armament. Interesting. How does it differ from that guy? Oh, it gets hydro. This is the premium, huh? 4.5 second reload. 27. Standard torps. It's not deep water torps. Standard torps. 60 knots. 13.5 km range. 33.4. So you get standard torps, 10 km range. Oh my, what is that? Okay, chat, I don't know if you can see. Chat is kind of in a way, but bombs in a charge. 18. Bombs in a charge. 18. What? Wait, like, something like Atlanta has bombs in a charge 8. What? Hello? That's a lot of depth charges. Jesus, that is a lot. That is a lot of depth charges. Holy shit. Heal. 5 chem hydro. The standard smoke. Interesting. Wait, what is this hull? This is like the tier 8. This is not the Austin hull. This is like the tier 8 hull. With different turrets. It's the Harbin, but with... Isn't it different turrets? Yeah, it's different. Is it? I think it's different turrets, yeah. Looks like the tier 8 hull. With Soviet turrets? Interesting. Yep. These turrets look so small on the hull, but chat, look at the amount of sick AA. Holy, are you seeing these quads? Are you seeing the sheer amount of quad AA? Dude, there's quad AA everywhere. Wonder if this thing is actually gonna have usable AA. It would fit the theme of create a problem, sell the solution. Those are just 25. You gotta remember, Wargaming pulls the value, the damage value out of their ass. Like Wargaming, what you see on the ship does in no way equal the damage output. You gotta remember that, chat. You gotta remember, like, there's no consistency here, okay? Like, chat, you gotta remember that Montana that has 20x1, that's 20 millimeters, and then another 20x2, so what, 60 20 millimeters, and another 80 40 millimeter Bofors has a continuous damage of 390, 533, 184. A continuous average is 462. And then something like a Holland with 6x1. So instead of the 80 40 millimeter Bofors, this thing has 6 40 millimeter Bofors, and this thing has like 347. Like, the values make no sense. The values make absolutely no sense. What you see on a ship, the armament does in no way mean what the AA values are. It's something Wargaming just pulls out of their ass. It's just something they pull out of their ass. And how does this thing have 6 flak? 6 flak with these guns, and then Montana that has like 10 times more guns somehow has only 8 flak. With much shittier accuracy as well. Yeah. There's no consistency there. So do not for a second think that what you see on a ship means what the values are. That's something Wargaming just pulls them. That's something Wargaming just pulls out of nowhere. Okay, so then we want to check out USSR Delny. Year of design, 1952. Thank you, Lime Color for the 26 and Sir Mavani for the 5. Year of design, 1952. A project of a Tashkent-class destroyer leader that was improved, taking experience gained in warfare into account. She differs from a prototype in the composition of her torpedo armament and more advanced artillery systems, which are post-war design. So, Cold War. 10 km torps. Kaba is so jealous. 11.5 base. 43.5. It looks pretty... This makes everyone jealous then. Whoa! Yeah, this totally looks like a World War II ship, by the way. Holy shit. Yeah, this totally looks like a World War II ship, by the way. Are you kidding me? Central torps, that's good, of course. Oh, the AA looks interesting. There's the diff charge launchers, I think. Or is it just here they drop them? Wow. Jesus, this thing though. Are you kidding me? How is this a World War II ship? So this is the Kaba replacement, right? The Delny. This is the one that's going to replace the Khabarovsk. I've actually been interested in what the armor is on this thing, because Kaba's gimmick was having the 50mm plating. Okay, so it gets the 50mm plating, a large chunk of it. 90 in here, vulnerable superstructure, but it gets the big chunky plating. And this wing is going to be much more agile than the Kaba and has 10 km torps as well. Interesting. How do you see this? I don't see it on PTS. I am the hacker man. I am the hacker man.
Whatever you say, Flamu. Whatever you say, buddy.
Dude, I can't get over the looks of this ship. I mean, art department, once again, like, you can literally see inside. You can see the details that they added. But yeah, this thing, this thing looks so, like, you sail this next to a Fletcher, and it's like, what the hell is that UFO? What kind of extraterrestrial is sailing past my Fletcher? E.T. go home.
I like E.T. E.T. go home.
Talia Places. Thank you, my dude. Lähti mulle messuja muistat. Okei, no mä heitän ne kohta. Year of design, 1945. Thank you, Talia Pelesos. A variant of the H-class battleship project, her primary armament comprised 8 457mm guns housed in 4 turret mounts. I wish it was 450 because that would make a lot more sense, because the Germans didn't go for 457s, but whatever. This should be standard. 24-second reload though. That is so good. You slot reload mod on that? Jesus. Like, this is gonna be Kurfürst Hall, except much faster reloading guns, overmatch, and improved firing angles. Wargaming already confirmed that the back turrets and the front turrets are gonna have improved firing angles because the turrets are narrower and the guns are not as spaced out. So you get better firing angles. In particular, when kiting away, you can maintain auto bounce angle and still use your front guns, something the old Kurfürst couldn't. If you wanted to use your front guns, you have to give enough broadside to get penned, but this thing can maintain auto bounce angles.
So that's an excellent point compared to the Kurfürst. Being able to angle and use your guns in a manner that you couldn't with the GK. So keep that in mind. That's really important.
So I don't see how this thing doesn't look like a straight up big upgrade to the current Kurfürst.
Kind of like the Hanover, I guess. Pretty decent, though. Yeah, that looks promising. Be looking forward to that Prussian. Most definitely. Going to take a smoke break, and then we'll be coming right back, folks. So smoke break, and then we'll be coming right back. If you have any questions, like that Pan-Asian cruiser line, that looked very interesting. We're going to be tricky to play, but man, those torps, especially I don't like the lower tiers, but that tier 5 cruiser, I think that's the cruiser I'd want to have if I had to play a tier 5 ship. So I might just friggin' test that out. And the Prussian, that looks promising. Because I got the GK, so I'll end up getting keeping it and getting the Prussian too. So that'll be pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Any questions, put in chat. And let me know what you think about that Delny. Was it the Delny that was, it was replacing the Khabarovsk in the Russian DD line. Styling-wise, looks great, but let me know what you think. Post in chat, guys. Okay, so we're gonna rely on Flamu again. And this time we're gonna showcase the Prince Heinrich, which is the Tier 7 new German line. So the headline here is Step Aside Gneisenau. So Gneisenau is the German battleship Tier 7. So this is the Prince Heinrich, which is the new ship coming out, new line, new German battleship line, as a matter of fact. So look at this. Flamu's going to present it to us, present the case. He knows how the mechanics fit into the game with the existing ships. So any comments, throw in chat. Any questions, throw in chat, please.
With double CV. What is this horse shit? Taskigt. So, where do I push in a brawl against double CV? Like never? Sag. Imagine adding that class to the game. Sag. I don't really know what's worse. A bad submarine you can kind of kill because it sits on the surface and gets smashed. But a bad CV can sit still in spawn and be fine and still harass you. So I don't know. They're both shit experiences, honestly. They're both shit experiences. It's like, do you like horse shit or dog shit? That's the question. Alan. Good morning. Yep. This is the fun stream now. Shit, I can't shoot arrows. You need to lead this much because the shit's not series. Lenin? Vladivostok. What are these guys doing? Rough game to get anything done in this shit, it feels like. Shatter, huh? Ranger? Doesn't understand, does it? Why is it sitting in something?
Gegnerische Schlachtschiff entdeckt.
It's gonna turn on.
Gegnerischen Kreuzer gesichtet.
I'm shooting HE at the last one. I don't want to go in and brawl now. We got so much there right now. guaranteed death sentence. Lenin will smash me from the side. Bayern is just sitting there, not sure what he's doing. Kinda want to slow down to get my secondaries in on the action, but do I get just farm to shit if I slow down? I think we're just gonna slow down. See what happens.
Feueralarm entdeckt.
I get rid of the
Alle Stationen, brauche Feuerunterstützung.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm gonna get the HE spawn from there. It's gonna eat my HP and my secondaries. Fuck. No, I can't slow down yet. They just get to farm me from behind that island, and it sucks. Looks like it's around. We can kill it. That's good. Okay, can we come around this island and maybe get some action? What the shit? Sometimes... I don't know if I should be building for the guns here, because in games like this where you don't get to use your secondaries, guns seem like the better option. I go in there now, I'm rolling 5 ships alone. That sounds like a really shit experience. Could get rid of something like the Takao so he can't torque me off out of the water. That would be really good. He's gonna turn for the planes. No, he's just gonna hit them. That's good. Is he hitting them?
Gegnerischen Zerstörer
You
gesichtet.
whiff them all. You whiff them all. Yes.
Gegnerisches Schlachtschiff entdeckt.
That Lenin being alive though. He sabotages my rolls so bad. He's turning in. He's gonna go broadside. What is this guy doing? How did it go dark? Oh fuck, that Magi? I guess we go. We have to go. My team is just dying so fast. Shells landing short bug in 2021. I wish when you do all that work to get into a position to shoot a broadside, the game engine would like not fuck you over. That would be my fucking wish.
Gegnerischen Kreuzer
So
gesichtet.
dumb, man. So dumb. So now the landing starts fucking smashing me. What do I do about it? It's still 5 ships here I have to brawl into. This is so bad. Can we delete the Provincia?
Сфокусируйте огонь на
There's a
вражеском
hail
корабле.
early. See,
Gegnerisches Schlachtschiff gesichtet.
Das
There's
gegnerische
only
Schiff
4
einen
ways.
gegnerischen Kreuzer versenkt.
Oops.
Отлично сыграно, командир.
Okay, Lenin went into the cap. It's actually good for us.
Torpedos direkt voraus.
What's my angles? Not good enough. For sure. swinging around because the torps on the other side. Fuck. There's no way I can dodge those, can I? I think his angles are just better than mine.
Torpedos direkt voraus.
Torpedo beats are beautiful.
Problem gelöst.
Now I need to turn in before he smashes me though. With these main guns. Angle. Good lord, angle ship! Ah! Okay. Bounce on the belt. Oh, thank god. Two shatters! Mr. Vulnerable Broadside, could you please live up to your name? Thank you. I'm asking for a friend. Don't overmatch my nose, please. Torps, and in protecting the left side torpedo from
Feueralarm.
please. You should have enough tank.
Wir haben ein gegnerisches
Oh, fun
Schlachtschiff
police.
versenkt.
Fun police, not the fun police. They detected too much fun in the area. What's my reinforce sector button? What's my reinforce sector button? I've rebounded. Oh no, I can't reinforce. Because it's a new PC.
Problem gelöst.
What's my reinforce? Control? What's the reinforce sector? Reinforce sector, reinforce sector, reinforce. Select priority sector. 5. Apply. Okay, 1 heal left, 3 health. What can we do? We can smash. That what we're going to do. Where's Queen Elizabeth? Oh, fun. Oh no, huge fun police coming. Huge fun police coming. The biggest fun you've ever seen. The most fun you've ever had in World of Warships is approaching. Fun off the charts. So much fun. Oh, I can't reinforce yet? I can, but the range is so poor. I forgot it's German AI. Hello. We
Torpedos
can't
auf
ground or the
Steuerbord.
torpedoes hit me. We have to turn out. Hydra in 3 seconds. Oh, we need to slow down. We need to turn it. No, we're
Torpedos
dropping from
direkt
both sides.
voraus.
Chad, there's too much fun at once.
Das gegnerische Team steht kurz vor dem Sieg.
Too much fun at once. No! Will the fun never end? Well, champ, I tried my best. But the fun was overwhelming. As the spreadsheet says, we had fun and then we had even more fun.
He's having tons of fun. Fun.
This ship looks incredible fun. Yeah, I really like the German battle cruisers. I really like them. I like all of them, but obviously when Masterclass decides you die, then you die. And you have no choice in that. When Masterclass says fun is over, then fun is over. That's just the way the game works. Only one person is truly allowed to have fun on the server, and it's the Masterclass. Everyone else is just like smashed whenever.
Gefecht endet in 5 Minuten.
Still though, how smashed did that Gneisenau get? How outplayed did that Gneisenau get, man? Holy. But the low penetration on the guns really showed when I shot that bloody Vostok and I got 2 shatters. That's really a downside on these, is the penetration is not very impressive. How did the Ranger die? Looks like he pushed down into D, where the enemy ships were. I don't know. I tried to like tell them to stay away, and I had hopes when they both started moving, but I guess he turned in or something. I don't know. That was a really fun game. That was sweaty though. I mean, besides of course the end, but I mean that's the way you have to approach World of Warships these days. I had really fun, and then there were parts that I didn't really enjoy because they are terrible class designs that shouldn't be in the game. But that's just the way it is. The other part of the game was really fun. That's still something that there's no competition for. The other part of the game, like there's no company that can compete with World of Warships when it comes to the fun that you can have when the fun police isn't present. That's still 10 out of 10. Uh-oh, shores? Are you having too much fun? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Hooray. Wizard, thank you for 35. Just 4 and 3. Well, at least 2 people had a really good time this game. That's what matters. And that's spreadsheet will say that we saw a lot of player enjoyment in this game for sure.
The odd thing about, or the funny thing, or idiosyncratic difference of a spreadsheet is they're pretty emotionless. They don't have much in the way of emotions, passion, various other factors, multidimensionality, unless you code it into the framework to get the stats back that you need to get a multidimensionality perspective. So, what are you going to do?
I have Stream Raiders on the other PC. I just can't be starting it up and sorting out everything with it. Schlieffen is insane in rank. Makes sense. Small scale looks like it really favors these ships. I think like the tier 6, tier 8, tier 10 are all gonna be really good in rank. Oh, he's flooding. Uh-oh. He ate a torpedo. Oh, and the flooding is over. Interesting. This was a fun game, though. It showcased both the strengths of the ship. Also, nice team, tier 8 team, by the way. It also showcased both the strengths of the ship and also the weaknesses that comes with playing a secondary ship. Like, trying to find an opportunity to push in is difficult. Very difficult. But then when you do get to brawl, you can do all sorts of things. And the weaknesses of the game. Yeah, I mean, of course. CVs are what they are. CVs are what they are. Why is this bugged, by the way? Why can't you see what the damage did? The sad part is, I was nose in with damage con running. I wonder how much damage I could have done to the Minsk if the Saipan hadn't been there. But then again, I would have been rushing them much faster as well, and they wouldn't even know I'd be coming if it wasn't for the CV spotting me. So yeah, I guess that's a fair bit of downside. Also show the weaknesses of building a new PC. Yeah, not having a hotkey for sector reinforcement was... hadn't needed it until now. The secondaries didn't actually do that much. Didn't actually do that much. I mean, to be fair, we were secondarying a Gneisenau and a Soviet BB, 2 ships that don't really care about it at all. Like, they don't care about secondaries at all. This is no IFHE though. You kind of need IFHE on the higher tiers. Thank you, MT Speed Kills for the 63. This is like the only difference I feel. You run PT, until you need IFHE, and then you switch to IFHE. But you don't really need it on the tier 7. I guess you can build it, but you don't really need it. Because 26 is standard battleship armor on tier 7. Still, I'm kind of honestly baffled by how hard I feel this entire line power creeps the German battleships. Because it's like, it doesn't have the turtleback, sure, but it's so much more fun. The secondaries are so much better. It gets torpedoes and hydro. Secondaries are more accurate. Guns are more accurate. And the firing angles are excellent, something which is a huge weakness of the German line. It feels like all the things people complained about and wanted changed on the German battleships, they kind of just made into an entirely new line. It's, I don't know how to feel about that.
Actually changed my mind. I want to do a short, watch a short video on the state of submarines. We're gonna take a look here at potato quality. And so he's been putting out some videos quite recently, fairly often. Good player, good head and his shoulders. Once you get a hold of your ego, you go a long way. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Martial arts, warships, everything. Doesn't matter what it is. But let's see what he says about torpedoes in the game now with these submarines. Now that he's had a little time to play against them. I've played against them, not as much as he has. But watch this and let me know in the comments what you think, okay? Thanks, folks.
Welcome to the Belau, a ship I initially wrote off as being worse than the German submarine counterpart at Tier 10, simply because it loaded its torps sequentially instead of all at once like the German submarine did. But after watching a friend of mine, Jake and BFK stream, and playing these ships and absolutely owning everyone, they showed me how good this ship can be, and that actually loading the torps sequentially can be a good thing due to staggering the torpedoes out, and then, well, people use their damage control and then there's nothing they can do. So you really do enjoy that ability to just always be dumping torpedoes out. So we got a ridiculous fast reload at 40 seconds on these torpedoes, and you saw my build earlier on. I'm actually really not even spec'd all that hard into building for these torpedoes, because they're just that good on their own. We're just trying to up our battery capacity. That's something else that, after playing a bit and also learning from some people who have played these a lot more than I have, yeah, battery capacity is incredibly important. And you can see we can get this thing up to nearly 10 minutes of battery capacity. Insane. And it makes you nearly unkillable, because people have to get right over top of you if they want to spot you. Planes, ships, doesn't matter. They have to get right on top of you. So if you just stick near enough your teammates where you can just dip underwater, even if you're spotted, become essentially immune to damage, and then run to your teammates for support to get whoever is spotting you away from you, you're not going to die. It's just that good. But this ship is perfect, as along with the other submarines, is perfect for epicenter. Something that you really want is people pushing into you. That is the ideal position to be in as a submarine, because, well, what are people gonna do, right? So epicenter becomes the perfect game mode all of a sudden. One that I hated playing in basically every ship has become the most fun game mode for submarines, and that's because people push in. So 12-kilometer range, 14-kilometer range at Tier 10 becomes not a big deal at all of a sudden, just because everybody is so close in. On this map, there are a lot of islands. You can see how our torps are curving directly into one because we have the Lenin pinged. But just in time, we ping the Wagami, bend the torps around that island, and we'll be all right. And then a lightning shows up, spots us for a second, and we just dip under the water. And what are they going to do? Our spotting suddenly goes down to, I think, 2.2 kilometers. We're not really spotting this lightning here, so I pop back up. I just want to dip up and down, up and down, up and down. Just trying to see where this guy went, and obviously he dipped behind the island. We already have a couple of torpedo hits, and well, we're just getting started. Later on, you're going to see me just be turning in circles. That seems to be how this ship wants to play. You just turn in circles, front torps, back torps, front torps, back torps. It's kind of hilarious. I will admit, it is kind of funny playing these ships. I would say they're more engaging and interesting when you play them really aggressive than playing something like an aircraft carrier extremely aggressively. Personally, that's why I don't really play aircraft carriers that much. If you didn't know, I don't really like the gameplay style. I don't really enjoy the whole planes kind of thing. I'm playing a ship game, right? If I wanted to play a plane game, I'd probably just go play War Thunder. Or, well, I don't think anybody plays World of Warplanes, so probably War Thunder if I wanted to play planes. So submarines at least fit the mold just a little bit better. I still think they're incredibly bad for the game and are going to result in far more passive games just because of the insane amount of damage output. Speaking of, I believe this North Carolina has used his damage control. And we have a double ping. So with this build, we actually get a 35-second ping time on double pings, which is more than enough for this guy to go behind the island, go dark. We can't even see him anymore, and we're going to get some decent torpedo hits in. I guess he slowed down because we get 0 citadels, all hitting the nose, but that is a flooding. These torps do a great job of flooding. There's a lot of dots, there's a lot of damage over time, and there's a lot of pressure on your damage control. So saving that whenever possible is going to be the key to surviving against submarines. You can go ahead and check out yesterday's video if you want to see how I was able to survive but still lose a game against 3 submarines all by myself in a Shikishima. It's not easy, and I did get very lucky to just survive, really. There was really no opportunity to win the game. But here you can see how insane this ship is. Launch the torpedoes from behind, turn around, launch torpedoes from front, just keep pinging and pinging and pinging away. You do have to consider when you ping, though, because the ping cooldown is a little bit long on some of these tier 10 ships, especially on the Below, around 10 seconds or so. Here we are curving torpedoes around this island quite nicely. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's just funny. It's a little ridiculous what this is doing. Look at them. Oh man, it's just a little ridiculous. I'm sorry. I just have to laugh at it just a little bit. And now that we're up to 67,000 damage, we've dealt crippling blows to the destroyers at this point, in both spotting them and forcing them to take a bunch of damage, as well as dealing some of our own damage ourselves. And we still have most of our HP. You're going to notice that I pretty much don't use the consumables, because the way I'm playing it doesn't require it. Something like the German submarine can play somewhat more aggressively just because of its battery consumable. This thing doesn't actually get that pause on the battery timer reduction or whatever. So that's a little bit of a downside of the American side. But I think the damage output potential of this thing is just way higher. So I think you're going to see most people playing those. And there's a double ping. And that's going to go into his broadside. Oh, he takes a big hit before our torpedoes actually get there, unfortunately. And that is going to be the Lenin going down. Nice little kill confirmed there. And those torpedoes that we sent from the back a couple seconds ago, well, they're still on their way in the general direction of some of these ships. So what if we just ping someone else? There it is. And there's the homing. Oh, man. I don't know. Obviously, there's really no threat to me here. I did get a little bit lucky in the way that the enemy team played this. I really wasn't threatened at all by the carrier or even any of the DDs, honestly. Enemy sub as well. No threat there. And yeah, a double ping on a Tirpitz. That is Citadels. And we have more torpedoes on the way, ready to go. Keep in mind, those torpedoes that just dev struck that Tirpitz were initially launched at the Lenin. Oh, and the second set we launched at the Tirpitz now are actually going to bend around that island in front of us there. Look at those ones bend around, and they're going to hit the Lepanto. I don't know, man. I just think that this wasn't tested very well. That's all. We get spotted. Oh no, it's a lightning on low HP, so he's not really going to be able to do much. And these battleships seem to be not paying too much attention to me, so they're really not doing these blind dropping airstrikes, that kind of thing, on our position, and the lightning just gets taken out by our Mogami. Again, very important to consider that if people want to come and kill you, to spot you, they have to get right up close to your ship if you're just barely submerged. So people are going to have to really push for you, and you can use that as bait to get a lot of destroyers killed. It's very, very easy to get enemy DDs killed, since they really do want to counter you. They want to push in and stop the submarines from just nuking their entire enemy team. But they often get baited in, and they can die very, very, very easily like that. So that's 140,000 damage, with very little effort on my part, and a very easy epicenter win. Submarines are, in my opinion, the strongest ship in the game for epicenter, specifically. And that's just because the central zone in epicenter is such a key component to the game. If you're in control of the central zone, the points tick is so severe that it forces the entire enemy team to stop what they're doing and push to try and get it back, or at least to stall it. And that obviously puts people at a massive, massive disadvantage. So if you're in a submarine and you're an epicenter, well, you're in luck, because you're going to have a great game. These things are still pretty good in other game modes as well, but it's not like epicenter where everybody's just forced to push into you. So that was my somewhat initial experience with the Bilal. I haven't really had very many games in this thing, maybe 5 or 6 at this point, so it's only going to get better from here. So I'm going to keep playing them. Here I'm experimenting with how quickly will this torps turn and home in. Can you fit them between islands if you torp them right? There's a lot of interesting things you can do. Unfortunately, it's only really interesting for the sub player. For the surface ship players, it's not particularly enjoyable. So that is the Bilal.
See how those torps friggin' curve? Isn't that something? That is unbelievable. Okay, so this is the game before that submarine game. Same guy, he says submarines cannot be released in the state. In that last game, he mentioned about being in the Shikishima against submarines at the end. So I'm just going to show you exactly what he's referring to. So without further ado,
It's gonna get boring, and that's because there's 3 submarines in this game for each team. Yeah, pretty incredibly bad matchmaker. The only positive really is that there's no aircraft carrier. that's really it. So for now, we're just gonna focus on the early game deployment and how I want to play against submarines in the early game. And it's actually island camping. The best way to play around submarines is definitely island camping. You put an island between yourself and where you think the submarines are going to be. You can't get torped, you can't get pinged. Simple as that. Unfortunately, island camping is completely countered by aircraft carriers. So if you have both aircraft carriers and submarines in the game, there's really not much place for you to go, right? If carriers force you to stay away from islands and force you to play open water, and subs force you to not play open water and go behind islands, yeah, there's just really nowhere left to go except the back of the map. Run away, and that's it. So, yes, I agree that aircraft carriers and submarines bring something new to the game. They add a new layer to the game, for those of you that have been saying that. However, is that a good layer to add? Is that a good dynamic to add to the game? My argument would be no. I think it's a really, really bad addition. And I think it removes a lot of the strategic value of these islands. We may as well not have islands in these maps if there's CVs. And if there are submarines, we may as well not have open areas of the map because nobody's going to want to play them. It essentially removes a lot of the map design and the important strategic value of different island placements and different open water placements in these islands. I think that CVs and submarines basically invalidate all map design. And that's not really something you want to bring to a game where the only real diversity you see is different maps and slightly different variations of ships. The other thing that's an issue is the vast majority of the time, submarines are trying to play undetected. Obviously, duh, that's how they work, right? But that's a big issue because destroyers don't always play undetected, right? It's not just taking up a DD slot of somebody who would also play undetected all the time. There's a lot of gunboat destroyers. There's a lot of times where even torpedo DDs will use their guns and they'll use their smoke screens and shoot and that kind of thing. So it doesn't feel as empty. It doesn't feel as barren when there's a DD in the game versus when there's a sub. I think the submarines are actually far, far worse and make the game way less interesting as far as targets on the screen, things to shoot at, that kind of thing. That's really, really, really bad for the game. Unfortunately, my Shikishima appears to be not working today. We shot at a broadside Montana and got literally 0 damage, and now this poor Moskva that is just stuck broadside to us is also taking no damage. And then that very same Montana from 20 kilometers, double citadel us? RNG, the video game. Welcome to Battleships. But back to the submarine question, I think this really is going to ruin the game. And I think that the people who are defending submarines might have a bit of a rose-tinted glasses look at this game. Or they just think that nothing that Wargaming could do could make the game worse. Perhaps they're new to the game. It's probably just that they're new. But it's really, really sad to see, because Wargaming then gets a mixed message from the player base, and that's how we keep getting a game that continues to be more and more passive. The unfortunate thing is I see a lot of people complaining about the passive nature of this game. They complain that it's boring, and they complain that this game isn't that interesting when the battleship players just camp the back of the map, when the cruiser players just camp islands, or when the DD players just camp in their smokes or camp the back of the map near their AA cruisers and just spam long-range torpedoes. It gets boring, and I agree, but the problem is there's a very good reason that it's boring. And there's a very good reason for this, and I believe that it's because of aircraft carriers and submarines, primarily. Those are the two primary reasons people don't push in anymore. It also comes down to the change in the way cruisers, battleships, and destroyers are designed. There's a lot more DPM, there's a lot more accurate overmatch, there's just a lot more long-range firepower that is able to kill you sooner in the game. Something CVs also do is they spot you sooner, and therefore that long-range damage comes in sooner. So there's a lot of reasons this game has become far more passive. Another reason simply is the player base evolving. Initially, I'm sure this game could have been incredibly passive as well had the player base known more about the game, and that pushing really is countered by most ships in most scenarios. But because of inexperience, people just pushed in anyway. So I think that's a combination of things, with the player base getting better and learning to not push, as well as Wargaming making stronger ships to stop pushing, that kind of thing. And that's on top of submarines and aircraft carriers. That's just within the three-class balance between destroyers, cruisers, and battleships. We would see passive games even now, even if we completely removed aircraft carriers and submarines. So it's not just their fault and their addition to the game's fault, but it certainly doesn't help. So back to this game, we're up to 75k damage, not bad. Considering the amount of broadsides I got this game, I would have loved to have more than this at this point. But we're in a situation where we have some pretty decent map control, and, well, unfortunately, there's a submarine in our spawn. I don't know if you saw that, but there were some torpedoes that came for our Balau there in B, and they came from our side of the map. So it really is time for me to move. I can't just stay in this location that I've been playing in all this time, and that's just because there's a sub in our spawn. And in fact, there he is. He's spotted there in D5 there. The other good thing about this is I can move over and support the C flank. I think my team should win at A. We do have a pretty decent advantage over there, given our destroyer, submarine, firepower there, along with the Hindenburg that just died. So we might not win that side. But we managed to kill off the GK with our team. And now this Nevsky, Summers, and whatever the German DD is running away. So this is very good. And in fact, this Summers might die here. Shikishima, of course, has some pretty wonky dispersion sometimes. That's just due to the 6-shell nature of this ship. So I am running a very weird build here. I'll go over it at the end, but I do not recommend this. This is just me trying stuff because of the free commander resets at the moment. Just for fun, but this is not a good build. You should just run a normal tank build like everybody else does on this ship. Kind of boring, but that is the best way to play it. Now, we're quickly approaching my final salvos of this game. And you might be thinking to yourself, but this game isn't even at the 10-minute mark yet. There's so much left to play. This video isn't even half over yet. How could you possibly be approaching the final salvos of this game? Well, and that's because there's 3 submarines left. And we'll get into the strategies that I'm incorporating to somewhat deal with these ships, but this game is going to go the full distance. There is still 10 minutes and 45 seconds left in this match before it ends. So pretty boring, pretty awful experience as far as adding submarines into this game. I really, 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 really hope Wargaming listens. They said they were going to in their apology. I am really hoping they listen in this scenario and don't bring submarines into this game. At least like this. There have to be some massive changes in order for this to be an actual positive addition to the game. But I'm going to be watching to see if they listen to the community and the general outrage at how horrible submarines are. I don't really see that many people being positive about submarines, which is good. And hopefully that sends a pretty clear message to Wargaming. And I really hope they listen. A lot is riding on that. A lot of my ability to trust what Wargaming says, I think, rides on if submarines get added or not in this state. And that's because I want to give Wargaming a chance when they apologize and say they're going to do better. I want to give them a chance to do so. And I believe that this is that opportunity. They say they're going to listen to the community's feedback more and try and focus on creating the game and communicating with the players better. This is it. Are submarines going to get added like this or not? This is the moment that, for me personally, I will decide if Wargaming is actually wanting to do better or if all they care about is adding more ways to get money out of the players as quickly as possible. And I think that's it. That is my last salvo, or maybe second or third last salvo of this game. So we now have 9 minutes of fighting submarines. Let's dive in. So there's a BOWS spotted right in front of us. Well, we obviously don't want to go out into this gap. That would be a really easy way to just get dev-struck off the screen. So we're pushing towards the island, trying to close the distance without getting spotted, without getting pinged a whole bunch, without getting torped. 4 good hits, very little damage, but we do get a fire. So that is a damage control popped by that BOWS. Unfortunately, our Nevsky decides to just sit in front of the DD. And it doesn't really matter if the submarine gets a single or a double ping. That's enough torpedo power to dev strike most cruisers. These tier 10 DD submarines hit very hard, so I don't think he had a double ping there, but a single ping is more than enough to kill cruisers. So submarines, very, very good at killing cruisers. Very good at killing destroyers. I'm sure you know this by now, but the actual homing range, the distance to the target ship that the submarines stop homing is different depending on the class. So battleships have a nice 2.1 kilometer range where they stop homing, whereas cruisers, if you get a double ping, I believe it's as low as 360 meters. Yeah, good luck dodging that in a cruiser. And DDs, I think it gets even lower yet. So pretty oppressive and horrible to fight. There's a large amount of helplessness here when you're fighting a submarine. We do get a few blind hits on the DD, or the submarine, sorry. These are submarines. And just keep your eye on in-game chat. There's a lot of people who think they're incredibly intelligent and in the way that they're saying undodgeable versus dodgeable torps, and you just don't know how to play yet. So there are people around that think this is fine, which is pretty incredible to me. You really shouldn't be listening to those people. Please try not to take them too seriously when they do say something like that. There's no really point in getting in arguments over it, because it is just a video game after all, but they're clearly new to the game, let's just say that. They don't really understand the mechanics and the way this game works yet. So now, we are in B, and the sub is also not in B. Either he's dipped below the water, which is more than likely, or he's actually left the cap at this point. So with the Nevsky spamming me, I really do want to get to this island in B and maybe just stay here for a little bit. My guess was that this submarine turned to the south. I was thinking that he backed up a long ways, turned to the south, because maybe he saw my Yoshino pushing in, something like that. And then we get pinged from behind. So it's very, very hard to tell where these subs are going. It's very, very, very difficult. And we get pinged from the opposite side. So we know there's 2 subs around. So that is a single ping. In the moment, I think I thought it was a double ping. So that's why I used my damage control. But I shouldn't have used it here. I probably would have used it anyway if there was a flood, but I shouldn't have used it. You do want to save that damage control for those double pings. Those are the ones that are just going to dev strike you off the screen. That's when they ignore torpedo protection and do citadel damage. And now we've used our damage con, so we are a sitting duck. We are completely vulnerable to this submarine. There is nothing we can do other than duck behind an island. See, this is why you want to play around islands as a battleship player, or any player, when there's submarines around. This gives you the opportunity to use the islands to break line of sight to stop these pings, as well as the submarines torps home right away when they're launched, assuming they're pinged on something. So if I even put my trajectory towards an island, the subs torps are going to home and likely just hit that island because they're predicting that I'm going to move behind it. So that is why islands are so important against submarines. Unfortunately, it also means that you're a sitting duck for CVs when they're in the game. So not to rehash that again, but it is pretty unfortunate the way these two synergize together, submarines and CVs. CVs push the ships out into open water, which, surprise, surprise, CVs are also good at killing things in open water. And then subs can just nuke you with pings, and, well, look at how long it took my damage con to come back. There we go. We just got it back. The submarine loads, I believe, at least 2 sets of torpedoes in the amount of time it took for my damage con to come back off cooldown. So, assuming that he's able to catch us in open water, he could send 2 sets of torpedoes that are homing, double pinged, ignore my torpedo protection, and do citadel damage. 2 sets before my damage control comes back. The design is horrible. Whoever thought of this really was either pressured into forcing this into the game, or just maybe isn't the most creative person at designing a game. This is pretty incredibly bad. Just mechanically design it. You should be able to go into a training room for 2 minutes and discover how horrible this would be to play against. For the submarine, it's pretty hilarious, because you pop someone's damage control. The strategy would be to send only 1 set of torpedoes, get a double ping, scare the crap out of the surface ship, force them to pop their damage control, and then send all the rest of your torpedoes, double ping, dev strike. Easy as that. Simple. How did that get through testing? How did that get through any sort of training battle? I don't know. But regardless, our Yoshino dies. We get spotted again. The Bilal is actually in the north. And for some reason, he's on the surface. So this guy massively misplays, and we might actually get a kill out of this since he is on relatively low HP. We send both of our planes out and just hope. That is the hope right now. We're getting double pinged from the opposite side. However, we are turning. The best way to dodge torpedoes is actually to be bow into them, pushing into a submarine. This is the best way I have found to dodge submarine torpedoes. And that's really only with a battleship because it's so far that the torpedoes stop homing. But you want to come in at around a 20 to 30 degree angle to where the submarine is pinging you from. And then with a little bit of prediction, you want to just turn in when you see the torpedoes. As soon as you see them, you need to turn in, and you can see how the torps just stop homing, and we can dodge them. So
So you see these torps, all these torps coming. There's just submarines left that he's playing against in the game. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take that smoke break now. Then we'll come back and watch the conclusion to this game. Any questions, comments, just throw it in chat. Really appreciate it, folks. Thanks. Okay, you wild and crazy guys. We're going to go back to the finish of this battle, the Shikishima. Let's switch camera angles here. With the Shikishima and submarines, right? Move this microphone out of the way. So there you go. So what do you think? Do you think he's got a point here or not? Before, we played a video with this guy. He was in the Balau, they call it. It's the Tier 10 American submarine. But he's having in this epicenter. But what he's pointing out, though, is submarines are broken. They've broken the game, and it takes away from the player experience, and that they should do something differently. And so this is what he's trying to convey to them. So he's getting these videos out. They're supposed to be watching this stuff. And he's going to hope they're listening. And he's right. Now, I'll tell you why. So it doesn't matter if you do test servers, data, you try to substantiate and rationalize everything every which way you can. But you could have easily created a separate setup. Just got to make the entry point into the difference to the server to, just like you do brawls, like you do all that stuff. You can have submarines and CVs off on a separate format. And then maybe, you really got to put your thinking caps on. Get out of that friggin' little box you created around yourself and gift wrapped with this nice, pretty little bow. And get in the game. And then you could do tournaments with all different ship types, but this is after you've taken some time, actually refined the mechanics, and made this a world-class product that will keep generating revenue, and work your best to create trust and goodwill with the consumer. Real simple friggin' formula. And you guys just don't get it. Like, man. Okay, enough of that rant. I'm not even going to go to a commercial break. Let's go back to the video, folks.
You know the submarine is directly in front of me. Well,
Let me know what you think in
really
comments. Throw stuff in the comments and
intelligently.
let me know what
And
you think.
You can see we just know exactly where we're getting pinged from. And in fact, we're getting pinged from 2 directions. So there's actually 2 subs here. So I used my damage control again. I think I also thought this was a double ping. We get lucky, take most of those on our torpedo belt. And this Balau, for some reason, surfaces. He still had battery left. I don't know what's up with these people surfacing like this, but he still had battery. So, yeah, we'll use our strike on this guy and another one on the other sub. We've now taken out 2 submarines simply because they didn't go under the water. Again, here come the torps, and we're at a decent angle, so we can slow down and turn in, and because the homing stops at a specific point, 2.1 kilometers, on a battleship, we can just barely avoid them. It's impossible to avoid them if you're at more than a 30 or 40 degree angle, in my opinion. You're going to get hit if you're broadside at all to these torpedoes. They will hit you. So that's why you really do want to be bow in. Stern in can also work, but it's a little bit trickier, I think. I haven't really tried it too much because I'm trying not to be in these situations against subs, but this game happened to come down to the wire like this, and yeah, it was an interesting opportunity for me to try out some strategies I've been thinking of to deal with submarines, but at the end of the day, this was a horrible experience. It's no fun to just sail around for 9 minutes with the odd time clicking on the ocean where I think a submarine might be and drop some plane depth charges. 9 minutes of that gameplay. It's horrible. Also, this sub, I believe, is in front of me. I'm guessing. And, well, this game's about to run out, right? So 10 seconds left in this match. Trying to get a one last salvo on the Nevsky, one last drop on the sub. But if you look closely at our HUD, we're going to see torpedoes come from behind us. So that submarine managed to get behind us. And that little tiny red dot there. So it's basically impossible to deal with these things unless they make a mistake, which is horrible gameplay. If all of the control is in one player's hands in a multiplayer PvP scenario, that is horrible game design. I'm basically an NPC at that point against these subs when I'm alone. Just like it's a CV. Sure, there should be some advantage given, but I don't think it should be 100% of the control. It's ridiculous. So anyways, here is the build that I was running. It's ridiculous. I'm just trying to get my reload as fast as possible. It's a dumb build. You shouldn't run this. You should really just run the fire prevention, concealment, and healing, right? Just a normal build. That's what you should.
Okay, so there we go. There we go. What else are we going to listen to from them? Right? Not too much. So, as I was saying, put the friggin' submarines in a different format with CVs. Problem solved. And start refining the game mechanics itself. And a few points of interest based on fact, how like the AA, there's no consistency with AA from ship to ship, class to class. There's no parameters set, no defined parameters. It's just friggin' flying by the seat of your pants, the ass of your pants. So you can make this into a friggin' great game. Like, get down to some of the basics, get that done, and build up some trust and goodwill. And you'll find your player base will spend some money. You'd be surprised. Just due to the nature of the type of game, you're always going to have a high churn rate. This business, this format, you can't get around. It's always going to have a high churn rate. But retention is key as much as possible. And you should have a CC community thing happening. You know, you really friggin' blew that. You had some good CCs. Doesn't matter if they don't agree with you. You need that different viewpoint in order to make your game better, whether you like it or not. You know, you got to let the ego friggin' go. Some of these CCs aren't right either. You got to learn what's right, what's not right. But still part of the friggin' game. No pun intended. So there you go. So what I'm going to do now is going to play a game, but I want to go to a video of Flamu. I like Flamu. Flamu, I think he's was great. The guy is one of the most knowledgeable guys for this game. You know, really is one of the most knowledgeable guys for this game. And he really gets his shit together, gets his facts correct, but he also knows how to apply it within that ship he's playing or presenting to you and playing in the game, and how it relates to what you should be doing. And another thing, this is something we all do that requires focus, is watching this mini map off to the bottom right hand corner, because that's positioning is so key. And that's why a guy like Flamu and a lot of other guys, you know, they got their own types of followings, their own types of crowds, because personalities, they sync. It's just the way it is. That's good. Cool. So let's go to Flamu now.
Now, after playing a bunch of American battleships lately, I have gotten so bored of them. So today I decided to feature something a bit different.
Holy crap, hold on a sec. Okay, so the whole point in doing this is the mains, the tier 8 mains. I'm a cruiser guy, so I like cruisers. And the tier 8 mains is I like that ship. It's a great ship for tier 8. And so this is the whole point in doing this. So let's look at the, because a lot of guys too will be playing the lower tiers. But the mains, let's look at this closely from a point where Flemu understands this game, knows these ships and how the mechanics should work from ship to ship in a battle. So this is what makes it unique. And he's still doing the game, fine, cool, and he's a positive contributor to the game and knowing the game. So let's go back to this video. But the mains, I wanted to point out the mains. I'm a cruiser player. Mains is one of my ships. I love it. You know, there's quite a few tier 8 cruisers I really like. But they're all very different in their own way. But anyways, this is where Flemu can further pontificate and explain some of the differences in the ins and outs so that you, the player base, can understand. So that's where we're coming from here. Okay, questions, anything? Throw in chat.
King is, of course, well, tier 10, and it's quite harsh, mostly because we are playing the mines. And we're playing the mines on a map that is Okinawa. And Okinawa is painful for cruisers, especially with the spawn I got here. And the main issue really with the mines is that the mines does not trade well in open water gunboating because, well, most of their battleships have either very hard-hitting guns or fast shells or just the ability to punish you so very easily because of the thin plating on the ship. And of course, because we don't have any heal on the ship, we can't really sustain either. So even trading against their cruisers in the open would be very rough indeed. So I'm gonna do something that I normally dislike and something that I recommend against, but on maps like this one, you're sometimes just forced to do it. And that is, I'm gonna switch sides. The reason why I generally argue against this is because, well, you tend to weaken that flank substantially. But in this case, a mines trying to open water gunboat at C would already be such a weak addition to the flank, and I know that the actual impact I could have on the outcome of the game, the help I could provide on that flank would basically be non-existent. They had the Petropavlovsk on that flank as well, so my HSM would basically have done nothing against him whatsoever, and obviously he would have had a very easy time of just blapping me. So I'm quite satisfied with my decision to move north. The reason, of course, to reposition north on a map like Okinawa is you need island cover. That is how light cruisers. I would do the same in the Cleveland. The Chapayev can do somewhat okay in the open, and Chapayev has radar, which provides utility. Cleveland doesn't have the range, Mines doesn't have the speed or the shell velocity to really do that kind of open water gunboating. But there are some exceptions to this. In general though, when you're up tier twice and you're playing a cruiser without a heal, you get a bit more leeway when it comes to choosing your position to try to not just succeed, but honestly basically just survive. I'm a bit annoyed looking at the minimap. Sorry about this. I was talking to chat, so I'm not really paying attention to what I was doing with my mouse. So sorry about the fiddling back and forth. It will calm down once I start focusing on the game and not just talking with chat. I am a bit annoyed seeing that, well, my Massachusetts, my Sovietsky Soyuz, and my Kurfürst, three incredibly tanky and strong ships that could easily sit in the open and take map control, they are all choosing to sail north up behind this island. When you go there in a light cruiser without a heel with no armor, you go there because you need the island cover. When you go there in the likes of a Sovietsky Soyuz, Massa, or Kurfürst, well, you go there because you want to hide. You're not going there because you think it will maximize your utility. You're going there because, well, you can hide from most of the enemy gunfire. And the reason why I hate when people sail their battleships up there, unless it's basically a Pommern or something that intends to just YOLO rush, is because they do it to evade the battle. And they kind of go, well, I'm not gonna do anything for the outcome of this game. I'm gonna let my team do it. So I really, really dislike that. However, the Republic started pushing mid and I did get DD spotted, so I decided if I'm spotted, I might as well start putting down some damage on this Republic charging up. Note that I keep zooming out in between shots, and I keep a very close eye on the battleships on my right side, because if any of those battleships behind A start shooting, I need to be aware of it. So I'm paying very close attention to priority target, as well as what those BBs are doing. As long as the Republic keeps kiting or pushing towards me, I can keep kiting away, and of course laying down as much damage on him as possible. The moves he's making would obviously not be possible if my team had some more map control, but if you look at the minimap, you can see that all my BBs have already abandoned all semblance of central control. They have sailed to the edges of the map, to the corners. Two of my DDs also managed to die very, very quickly, so this is already turning out to be a very, very rough game. And I'm doing my best to conserve my health, because, well, at this point it's already quite obvious that no one from my team is going to be carrying this game, so I'll have to be the one doing it. My Stalingrad is also rushing into B, which all alone can only result in one thing, and that is a death. I keep kiting away, keep playing fire. The goal in the mines is often to try to get, it doesn't even matter how much damage you're getting in. What's important in the early game is getting a bunch of hits in. That is, of course, if you're running Luthians like I am. Now, dealing damage is always good, but there's more of a purpose here than just getting trying to kill this Republic. I'm also trying to farm the maximum amount of hits possible. I start so many fires. I'm pretty sure he does have damage con, but while he's damage conning those fires, I'm switching to AP to get some extra damage in. Mine's AP DPM is of course fantastic. If you get to use it on any broadsides, do. The damage output can be truly disgusting, as this Republic is probably noticing. 6,000 per volley at 14 kilometers is nice. You can even do 10k if you manage to get good volleys in. He starts angling in. It's too late for me to turn out. I'd like to turn out, but I'm already committed, so I decide to turn in instead and hope that my team combined can kill this guy before he absolutely dumpsters me. I turn in, slow down. The idea here is not to try to tank or bounce the Republic shells. The mines doesn't have the armor for it. The goal here is full avoidance. That is avoiding the damage altogether. I had hoped my Ataga would maybe turn out and start shooting him, but the Ataga chooses to hide behind the island as well. I managed to dodge some additional shells, and I do manage to get away from the fight without really losing much health at all, and in return getting a bunch of damage in on the Republic. Seeing as the Republic is gone, I instantly turn my guns to another target. This is what you want to be doing, and this is of course why you would position up here in something like a mines or any light cruiser. Your ability to deal damage over islands while remaining undetected is why you go here, and of course if you're playing a light cruiser, what you want to be doing is dealing the maximum amount of damage while avoiding any incoming damage possible. And the easiest way to do it is this right here. Sitting behind an island and just farming any target you can. If you manage to achieve this in a game, you're positioning well. People will go, "Oh, you coward, oh, come out and fight like a man." But these are potatoes, and you need to ignore them, because they are potatoes, and the second they say that, they prove to the world that they are in fact potatoes. If you can, in a cruiser whose whole purpose is to deal damage, you don't have radar, you don't have any sort of tanking power, the only thing you have is damage. If you can, in a cruiser, maximize your damage output while taking no damage in return, you are playing a fantastic game. Sadly, the small one does spot me, so I'm forced to accelerate and dodge as the North Carolina shoots me, but as you can see, that brief spotting and allowing that North Carolina to get that one volley in, even though I was perfectly angled, still cost me 10,000 health. And when you have 42k and no way to heal it back, losing a quarter to a single volley does demonstrate how important it is to try to conserve your health, especially when up-tiered, especially in a cruiser. For some reason, people in cruisers play far too aggressive. They charge in, they get themselves killed, and then they lose all their utility, all their strength, all their viability. The North Carolina burns to death. I have racked up a surprising 114,000 damage. Well, mine's is one of my few recommended German premiums as of late, because, well, strongly recommended. I mean, Pommern is really fun. Odin is really good as long as you're not up tiered. But mine's is one of those ships that, if you like the light cruiser playstyle, it is a powerhouse at tier 8. For the simple fact that it just deals so much damage. That is really Mine's gimmick, especially with Gunther Lutyens. The damage you pump out is absurd. I'm trying to ping my battleships here to come on, like, get a move on. They are all just sitting behind this island. They're not doing a whole lot. They got a ton of health remaining, and they're just sitting here watching while the enemy has all the caps. So this is obviously a huge problem. Seeing as they're not looking to move, I'm trying to push out instead and trying to keep damage in on this Monarch. As much damage as possible. If the DD starts harassing me, that's fine. As long as my battleships start moving from behind that island. This is getting quite sad. In fact, my North Carolina and Thunder down south haven't really done a whole lot regarding map control, besides running away either. I get a fire, trying to get an additional one. Pommern pops up, keeping a close eye on my priority target now. It lights up with 1, so now we're keeping an eye out what's shooting us. Is Montana aiming at us? No, not him. Who's aiming at us? This is very important. You need to keep track of your health. Mines can be easily devastated by just about any battleship, especially when facing higher tiers. So don't stay tunnel visioned and shooting. Your priority is always your own survival. Damage you can deal later, but in a cruiser, one single mess up can get you devastated. And it's important to keep that as your #1 priority. It's the same when you play DD. Staying alive is the single most important thing. You can't deal more damage if you're dead. I managed to get undetected. Gliding behind the island means that the Montana no longer has vision of me. The small land is on the other side of the island, and this time the small land is close enough. We did get vision of a Benham earlier at the start of the game, but the Benham was so far away that there was no point shooting, because as you can see, the shell arcs and the accuracy at this range is what it is. But at around 10 to 12k, 10 to 12 km, you can easily deal some damage. Even if when the DD starts arriving, it becomes significantly harder to actually get any sort of consistent damage in. But any damage is good damage when it comes to shooting destroyers. Small one disengages though, and we do not secure the kill, so I instantly start focusing back on the biggest threat, the biggest, strongest BB that they have remaining, and that is of course the Montana. Keep in mind, of course, that I also have improved pen on the mines because it's a German cruiser, so I do deal extra damage to him. I pop a fighter to see in case I could get vision on the other side of the island, in case there's a DD around who's left his AA on. There's all sorts of situations where the fighter plane can give you some extra information. I'm spotted, but no one is shooting at me, so we're just gonna keep dealing damage. We're down 285 to 730 points. We are very much in trouble here, and ideally my team would start playing more aggressive, but if you look at the minimap, if you look at the 8 line, my Thunder and North Carolina are conga lining away from the objective. In fact, at this point I hadn't even noticed how terribly they're doing. My Massachusetts at B2 is also sailing away from the objective. He's turned around and he's fleeing, and spoiler alert, he's also full HP. I don't know why people do this. I notice him now and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, go cap. If both you and the Kotfors are capping at the same time, you will eventually get the cap, because they will struggle to reset both of you. And then someone else pings the Thunder and pings him to get into the corner. I'm like, wait, hold on. Oh, he's full HP. He's just running away. I don't understand what people are doing in this game anymore. I don't understand what top tier gameplay is anymore. For some reason, it's become habit for people to prioritize their own survival over winning the match. Doing it early game, just like focusing on getting into a good position and survival, but when the enemy team is clearly winning with 800 points and you're sitting in one of the strongest BBs in the game and your choice is to flee, I don't really understand what's going on there. Regardless, we keep abusing this island and just farming damage on this Montana. The more damage we put in, the better. Getting him killed is important, not just to remove his firepower from the field, because of course if he's gone, then I can play more aggressively against the destroyers. The issue here is trying to hunt and push these destroyers with my Hydro is impossible as long as the Montana is sitting there. You saw what the North Carolina did to me in one volley. Montana is significantly worse for the mines. So the goal here is to get rid of him as soon as possible. Östergötland pops up on the other side of the island, so I instantly pop Hydro and I start accelerating full speed and turning in. The idea here is that maybe I can catch him in this German Hydro and my team might secure the kill, getting rid of one more of the destroyers. I start another 2 fires on the Montana. He's aiming at me, trying to obviously blap me, but I do manage to burn him to death. The Massachusetts, for some reason, has still not entered A, and my Kurfürst, sadly, who was contesting A, preventing them from generating points, has decided to leave A. These are 2 huge mistakes, and the Thunder, instead of pushing in with us, is now kind of, I don't know where he's going. So this is very much, I know I'm gonna have to do a whole lot of work to have any chance of recovering this. I know the DD is in front of me. I have spec'd RPF because, well, I don't bother with IFHE on the mines because the pen is so good on it already. I don't want to mess with my fire chance. So I have RPF and I know he was around here, so we just got Hydra active and we're charging. I'm trying to really drill it into this guy's skull that hopefully he goes and gets the objective. My Hydro spots the torpedoes, but I do have to be careful dodging this because I know there's a Pommer and a Monarch who are both looking for an opportunity to shoot me. So I swing a bit wide to the left, ready to swing to the right, and that's exactly what happens. The Monarch shoots and we full stop. Throwing off his aim. Generally, if battleships have been undetected for a long time and you're spotted, you should be aware that they're probably just looking for a juicy shot. And the cruiser dodging torps tends to be one of the juiciest shots out there. Very, very easy. Seeing as I'm spotted and the Monarch kind of showed himself, no reason not to start shooting more. The DDs are afraid to open up on me, and as long as I dodge the battleship shots, I should be able to secure this cap for my team. That is a high priority right now. 265 to 927 points. This looks like an almost guaranteed loss. But there's the Jutland makes a mistake. He doesn't expect me to push up with my Hydro active, and I catch him in my Hydro. So now it's obviously go time. I turn a bit extra broadside, even risking some potential hits from the battleships just so I can get all the damage I can in. 979 points for the enemy team. They kill my Kurfürst, who sailed down here for some reason. But I do really need to secure this. 985. The enemy team is just about to win this, and I start a fire and get him down with another chunk. I turn in sharply while shooting, managing to dodge the incoming torpedoes as well. We're still in the game. 277 to 943. Kurfürst is the next target. Monarch is closer, but sorry, the Pommer is the next target. The Monarch is closer, but the priority here is to kill the Pommer as soon as possible because he's low HP and also he has my broadside. And any broadside shots on the mines are usually citadels. I once again turn in sharply to try to dodge his shells, and Pommer's poor dispersion works in my favor at this range. The constant firing, the constant damage output of the ship allows me to pick up the Pommern as well. Note that I have got a fair few achievements here, I think like Wither and High Caliber, but for some reason they didn't show up on the replay. This latest patch has once again messed with something. Don't ask me what's going on here. Monarch perhaps thought I would die or would be under more duress, so he pushes in, and that's what I was hoping for, and I instantly start shooting him. My team gets in some good volleys, and I switch to AP as he starts giving me broadside. I turn in to try to mitigate the damage, and I get fairly fortunate only eating overpens. And at this point, of course, seeing as he has used his front guns at least, we start giving more broadside so we can use all our guns and really put out that AP DPM on the ship. He, however, turns in, and I'm not really getting the volleys I was hoping for, so he's absolutely going to get another volley off. We switch to HE, and once again angle in. We eat some fairly significant pens, but at least we don't get citadeled because we were angled enough. Keep in mind the ship has basically no armor whatsoever. I keep putting in damage. I need to kill him before his next volley, because there is a risk that he might kill me, and I do, in fact, pick up the kill. At this point I have gotten a Kraken. You can even see it in chat, Kraken unleashed, but for some reason it doesn't show up on the replay achievements. Once again, don't blame me, blame Wargaming. This push has managed to secure us all the caps, but we are so far down on points, I really think we need to secure a kill. So ideally, at this point, the idea is to pincer them. So I start pinging where the DD is, with the vain hope that perhaps the Swifty Soyuz will take a wider angle, helping us box in these destroyers, because obviously this DD is going to be sailing away from me, so kind of like, I don't know, herding chicken or whatever, you go in from all sides and you pincer them in such a way that he can't escape. Sadly, the Soyuz, instead of going where the DD is going to be, he starts going where the DD is right now, and this is a fairly poor choice because the DD won't get past me and Atago. So the only way the DD can go is towards the 1 and 2 line, and ideally Sovietsky Soyuz could have pincered them off at this point. I'm starting to shoot where I suspect he is to give my team an idea. Obviously random hits would be great, but this is more of letting my team know where this enemy destroyer is, so they kind of understand which way they should be trying to trap, which way they should catch. And the DD is exactly where I'm shooting. The cheese torps pop up once again. I try to lose as little speed as possible dodging these torpedoes because there's only 1 minute 20 and we're still down 150 points. Securing this kill might in fact be vital. I'm not running the score mode, so I actually have no idea what the outcome of this match is going to be. My Thunder, still full HP. It bothers me when I look at my teammates who have kind of had the luxury of playing such an open map where you can gunboat from anywhere you want, and they have chosen to hide behind islands and conserve their health while the rest of their team has been dying. I really don't know why people do that, especially on Okinawa. Okinawa is kind of battleship haven because there's so little cover on this map. My Hydro, I think, caught those torps coming towards the Sovietsky Soyuz, so he gets a bit of an early warning, but he does eat one of them, so at this point I'm starting to get really worried, and I just tell him to get back, or at least turn more to the right. For some reason he's sailing right towards me, and if he would have taken a bit of a wider angle, we could have perhaps caught this DD in the net. 786 to 823, 20 seconds.
240k in damage. That's
I
excellent.
keep throwing blind
Very,
fire,
very
hoping to
good.
get my Sovietsky Soyuz to take it.
Okay, folks, there you go. So, yeah, Maine's, that's one of my favorite ships. I like that ship. But, yeah, it's tricky to play. Light cruiser. But one of my go-to guys. So, anyways, going to call it a session. Going to be live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. New York time. Okay, folks? So we're going to be 10 a.m. New York time tomorrow morning live, twitch.tv/Michael J, a.k.a. Swifty. So everybody take care, be safe, and talk to you tomorrow. Take care now.